Hi, it's me, Bob Jokel with Hunt Real Estate. I've been selling real estate in Central New York for over 20 years. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, devoted to helping the general public understand everything that goes into buying and selling homes. Today my guest is Dave Hartpence of Cornerstone Building Inspection. Dave is a well-known and respected home inspector here in Central New York. Hi Dave, thank you for joining me today.
Good morning.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company?
Well, my name is Dave Hartpence. I am Cornerstone Building Inspections. We've been in the building inspection company for over 20 years, helping buyers or sellers through the real estate process. We're also New York State Environmental Laboratory for radon testing. We do well septic testing on top of that. So we're a full-service home inspection company, or building inspection company. We do commercial too.
Okay, all right. And Dave, on your website, it indicates that you're a member of ASHI.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
ASHI is the American Society of Home Inspectors. They're the oldest organization of inspectors around, and they basically set the standards for the home inspection industry today. You have a process that you have to go through to become a certified inspector with them, which it takes years of experience. And a lot of the state tests that an inspector has to take to get their inspector license was designed by American Society of Home Inspectors.
Okay.
So they're the gold standard.
Typically in a normal housing market, when most buyers write a purchase contract for a home, they make the offer contingent upon a satisfactory home inspection and sometimes a radon test. And the inspection and radon tests are typically paid for by the buyer. Can you give us an overview of what a home inspection entails and how it can protect the buyer?
Sure. We don't specifically determine whether or not a home is satisfactory or not. We provide the buyer with the information so they can make that decision. So it's an overall evaluation of all the components in the house. And then the buyer is able to determine whether or not they're willing to take on maybe some of the projects that are involved in it, or try to negotiate some of the problems that are involved. Okay. For instance, sometimes you'll get one that has a bad roof, and if you go on FHA, as you know, an FHA mortgage, the roof needs to last 3 years, and sometimes you run into that problem. And we try to help through that process.
Okay. So what are the types of things that you look for when you're doing a home inspection? What are the things that you really focus on?
Structure is number one, and safety.
Okay.
Okay. So say it's an overall evaluation of the entire property, from roof to foundation. And if you have a bad foundation, I try to tell people to compare buying a house to buying a used car, right? So it's going to have dings, dents, and scratches in it, but if it's got a bad engine or a bad transmission, that's a whole other problem. And it's kind of the same way through the process of buying a house. It's an older house, it's going to have windows that don't work, or it's going to, but if it's safety issues, safety related, that's a whole other story.
Sure.
If you have a bad furnace, if you have mold in the attic, if you have other, bad foundation, things like that, it's a whole other game.
Okay, and electrical issues can be a safety issue as well?
That is true. Specifically, aluminum wiring is the number one for that.
Okay. All right, and there is a cure for aluminum wiring, supposedly, right?
There is. There are several cures for it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only one that's approved for by the Consumer Product Safety Board, and that's what they call a copulin splice. But there are several other ways that electricians are able to address it.
Okay, and we find aluminum wiring in houses that were built in the 70s?
Late 70s,
mostly?
early 70s.
Okay, all right. Well, are there other types of safety issues that come into play as far as stairs, things like that?
So if you're going with an FHA mortgage, there are certain things to consider specifically with that, with the missing handrails, the ground fault circuit interrupts, broken windows. So yes, with mortgage related, those are things that apply. Not mortgage related, they also apply. So safety issues also apply to people that are not buying them, are not buying under an FHA program.
Okay.
The big one is going to be the cracked heat exchanger in the furnace.
Okay,
A furnace producing carbon monoxide, which is potentially deadly.
sure.
You know, that would be the big one.
And that's for a forced air furnace?
Forced air furnace.
Okay. So do you classify certain items that you find about how serious they might be? We know that some things are safety issues or structural issues or code violations, etc. Can you give us more insight on that?
So in the report, we classify maintenance, marginal, and defective. And then maintenance is kind of your honey-do list, things that you should address. Maintenance, or marginal issues are things that you should really get on. And then you have a defective summation in there that is potential safety issues or things that will affect financing that really should be addressed quickly. Also, that involves code violations too, modern code violations. Now, that has just kind of been developed over the years, and it's not written in stone. There are some people that they may find something on the maintenance that really bothers them, and that's a personal decision on theirs. But it's just kind of been developed over time.
Okay. And do you explain the importance of the items that you may find to the buyer?
Oh, absolutely. Every single one of them.
Okay.
We highly encourage the buyer to attend so that we can. There's nothing that replaces eyes on. I mean, we do a really good job with the photographs and the little arrows and the identifiers, but there's nothing that replaces eyes on. We highly encourage that they attend so that they can see it firsthand.
Okay. And a home inspection might take 2 to 3 hours, depending on the size of the home and all that.
Depending on the size of the home and depending on the client. Sometimes you get a client that requires more time, and that's okay. They're paying me to be there. They're paying me to answer the questions.
Okay.
So I don't hurry anybody. I don't push anybody through it. I'm there because they're paying me, and they have me, and they have my full attention for that period.
Is there a list of the most common things that you might find that would be of most concern to a buyer?
Roofs are number one. Things that cost the largest amount, and things that are safety. Okay. So roofs are a big one. Broken windows, if you go on down through it, ungrounded gas lines or unbonded gas lines, I should say. And carbon monoxide producing equipment, whether it be a water heater or a furnace.
Okay. And that gas line bonding has really only come into play over the last 5 or 6 years, I think, with code when they start. A lot of the builders and a lot of the contractors use that CSST gas line, which people will recognize in a home because it's basically a flex pipe, and it's coated with like a yellow plastic, and that's become a major code situation, hasn't it? Yeah.
So there's basically 3 manufacturers of it, and all 3 manufacturers have always had their own bonding or grounding requirements to that gas line. The problem is that when it leaves the factory or the warehouse, the education drops off a little bit on it. So September 26, 2010, New York State made a unified code that said that these are now the requirements for it, and it's retroactive because they were originally there all the time. So it's been really come into play because for years they weren't installed properly.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's still guys that are installing them wrong because now they're at the hardware store. So now you go to the hardware store, you can buy it. You can buy the CSST, which rolls out like a garden hose.
Right.
Anybody can install it, but nobody knows the proper way to install it.
Yeah. And it seems that it's very common when you have gas fireplaces in homes that they use the CSST.
That's the most common.
And I see it now on hot water heaters, and in some cases when people get a new furnace, a lot of times they're using the CSST on a new furnace install.
Because it's very, very simple to install.
Yeah.
Yep. Very simple and very quick. You see it on the water heaters a lot because the homeowners are going to Home Depot and buying their own water heaters and installing them themselves.
And then I've had situations where sellers have not understood that, after a home inspection, where they get a purchase contract on their house, and the buyers have a home inspection, that this comes up. and they don't understand that when they built their house 5 years ago or 6 years ago or 7 years ago or more, the builder, you know, when they bought it, the builder didn't install, didn't bond the gas lines or didn't say anything about it.
That is correct.
And they feel that, you know, the building inspector didn't bring it up at the time, so they think it's grandfathered and it's not.
Oh, it's a constant argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a constant fight with all that. But, and it's really, so it's a very simple fix for a potentially deadly situation. So what happens with the CSST is as the energy travels down through the house, if the house gets hit by lightning, or in the case of my neighbor's house, they were re-siding the house and the sider drove a nail and hit a wire. It happens. But it blew the gas line out. So it's a very, very simple fix for a potentially deadly situation. And all they need to do is clamp a ground wire onto the gas line and run it back to the electrical panel. It's usually $110 fix.
Yeah, I've seen $110, $150 with a licensed electrician comes in and takes care of it. It's really a cheap fix for something that's very, very important.
Very potentially dangerous.
Okay. So how is a home inspection report formatted, and how do you deliver it to a buyer?
So it's electronic. So when we deliver email, I personally, there's several ways to do it. Predominantly, we write them right on site. As we are going through, we're filling the data onto the reporting system, and we can deliver it right on site. Some other inspectors will deliver them at a later date, but we pretty much try to do it all on site.
Okay.
And it's, you know, the average home inspection, 60 pages long, you know, with a summation in the back, and you know, that'll have that maintenance, marginal, and defective summation, and those are all color coded to help identify where they are. So we've got green, brown, and red for potential safety issues in there.
Okay.
And usually you try to work off of, you know, the safety issues if you can.
Okay. Now you mentioned having the buyer attend the home inspection. Do you prefer the buyer to be there for the whole home inspection, or do you prefer them to be there at the end after you've already done the home inspection report so that you can walk them through it? Which do you prefer?
I highly encourage them to attend the entire inspection.
Okay.
When a buyer attends it towards the end, sometimes they feel rushed. They're there for 10 minutes. And the other way, they're there for 2-3 hours. They're able to spend a couple hours in a house that they just bought. They're able to get more comfortable with it, more familiar with it. And again, there's no other way to do it other than eyes on. So they're able to go through the whole process with you. And in the end, every one of their questions is answered.
Okay. It's fresh in their mind when something comes up. Okay. All right.
Yeah, they don't have to refer back and go, what were you talking about here? It's like, you saw it firsthand.
Okay.
So they're there with me through the entire process, with the exception, I mean, you know, they don't go on the roof. I don't allow them inside the electrical panel. They can watch. They have to be back a few feet for safety. But they're right there through the whole process.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about radon. What's radon? Why is it important to test a home for it?
Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer known to man. It comes from the breakdown of uranium, which is predominantly found in shale. It's what they call alpha particle decay. So as the atoms break down, they split. And when they split, they bounce off the inside of your lungs, and that creates scar tissue, which becomes lung cancer. If you look at the topography of Onondaga County, you have 3 to 5% of the homes in the northern end of it have radon, and up to 85% down in Tully. And it gradually moves down through. The closer you get to the quarries in the south end of the county, the higher it gets, because it comes from shale. When we test for radon, it's measured in what they call picocuries, parts per billion per liter, loosely. Anything above 4 is bad. And so if it's found to be high, then what they do is they put it on a radon mitigation system, which is a very simple process. They drill a hole in the floor, they sink a pipe down in there, goes to the outside, they put a fan on it, and they vacuum the radon gas out from underneath the house before it has a chance to enter.
Okay.
About $1,200 to install one of those systems. So
All right. And how do you test for radon?
electronically.
Okay.
Yep. We're a New York State laboratory, so everything that we do is done right in-house. We don't have to send it out. We have some nuclear systems that we use, and they're relatively, well, not relatively, they're quite accurate. The benefit with them is that they can't be altered. If they're moved, if the windows have been opened, if there's drastic temperature changes, it monitors all of that. I would never accuse a seller of being deceptive, but there are a few out there that will open the windows after we leave. And that is one of the advantages with the equipment that we use, that if they do, usually we can tell.
Okay. All right. And radon's everywhere, right?
Radon is everywhere.
So,
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
At some level.
Sure.
And you can actually, the reason why, like in northern counties or northern part of the county, like in Clay, where it's predominantly clay, you can still get you can still get fissures or where it comes up naturally. But you also remember that we backfill our homes with radon, with gravel that comes out of the quarries where the radon is. So when you do that, you can actually import it. Sure. And the half-life of radon is 1 billion years. So once you have it, it's there.
So when they bring in fill to fill in around the foundation on new construction, where they're getting that gravel from, the gravel could be radioactive to some extent.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct, yeah. So you can inadvertently import it, yeah.
Okay.
Now, are radon systems, something to be worried about? No. They're common to the area. So if you want to move to Florida, you're going to have to deal with hurricanes, right? So if you want to move to the south end of Onondaga County, you have radon. So if you are looking to purchase a house that has a radon mitigation system in there, it's really not a detraction, or it shouldn't be to a buyer. It should actually be a positive because it's so common to the area that it's been taken care of.
Sure. Sure, and you can tell if it's working because there's like a vacuum gauge on the
There's
on
a
the pipe.
manometer on it that will tell you. Now that just shows you that there's vacuum. That doesn't show you what the level is in the house.
Right.
But it does show you that the system is operating.
Okay. Now, do sellers ever call you to do a home inspection on a home prior to putting it on the market?
Yeah, probably about 10% of our work, specifically this year it's gone up, is pre-sale inspections. And one of the good things about pre-sale inspections is that you can kind of ward off any large surprises in the real estate process. If you had a house that we did a pre-sale inspection on it and you had mold, and you were able to mitigate the mold before it got there, or before it hit the market, then you're not going to go through a process where the seller comes in and a deal falls apart because they found mold, so they're nervous about it. Well, it's already been mitigated or properly corrected. So you have that. And then you also have, as you know, on the other side of it, where a buyer will try to negotiate in excess of what the repair cost would be.
Right.
And it helps you eliminate that problem too.
Yeah, because sometimes in the mind of a buyer, when a $1,000 item in their head is a $5,000 item.
That is correct.
And it's really, I like it when a seller does has a home inspection done before they put the house on the market, for exactly the reason that you said, is it avoids surprises. And if there's any issues, the seller's going to have to deal with it anyway. Okay, whether they get their home inspected prior to putting it on the market and take care of it, or they don't and the buyer does a home inspection and the items come to light, they're going to have to deal with it then. So better to deal with it up front, in my estimation, and to have it all taken care of to make it a much cleaner deal. It's funny how some buyers will walk away from a purchase on some items that really aren't that critical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some people expect houses to be perfect, and we all know no house is perfect, not even new construction.
Oh no, never. We we find things in new construction all the time as we're doing new home construction. They're never perfect. Nothing is perfect. But and again, that goes back to the housing analogy or with the car analogy. There's going to be dings, dents, and scratches. So, some of the things that you do have to accept, and you weigh that against the overall value of the house.
Right. And some things are just part of being a homeowner.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have to fix things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, that is one of the things, the inspection I did yesterday. It was, I wouldn't call it a pass or fail. The people just wanted to know, they knew the house needed some work. They wanted to know what work and where to start and how to establish a budget to do it. And that's why I was there, so that we could give them a roadmap to bringing the house up to their standards and which direction they should go first.
Okay, great. Well, Dave, I want to thank you again for taking the time to record this video with me. I'm sure that anyone watching will find it to be very informative. And if you or anyone you know are planning on buying or selling a home, and a home inspection is in your plans, Dave's contact information is at the bottom of this video. So feel free to give Dave a call. He's a great home inspector, and I know he'll do a great job for you. Also, feel free to like and share this video with anyone that you know that might be planning to buy or sell a home. And subscribe to my YouTube channel so you won't miss any of the videos that will be coming out. This is currently our 9th video, so we have a library of videos about all things having to do with buying or selling a home. And you can access all of those for free just by going to my YouTube channel. And as always, if you or anyone you know are planning to buying or selling a home, please reach out to me. My contact information is at the bottom of the screen as well. So until next time, be safe and be well, and have a great day.